definitely in the Yoga Sutras. It's there in the Buddhist texts. It's definitely there in some of the other Indic or Indian philosophies. This concept of Siddhis, as you brought up, and we had to come up. We have to first understand what the word Siddhi actually means. Siddhi comes from the root word Siddh in Sanskrit, which essentially means to be accomplished at something, to be perfected into something. So I look at these different, the ability to see past lives, for example, or, like you said, these experiences of seeing the building blocks of reality, time dilation, and so on. But then there are other siddhis, like, they talk about it in the different ancient texts about being able to read another person's mind, or being able to levitate, and some other, very outlandish kind of experiences. I think the utility of these siddhis comes about once you do come from that unconditional living. In other words, they're not something necessarily that you have to train for. You can, some people do that. They train for the siddhis, but they come about as, the icing on the cake, or the cherry on top, as a result of being in that intuitive state. So, for example, the ability to read others' minds, you could see that in different ways. I mean, you could see that as literally being able to pick up the thoughts of others, or you could just see that as being empathetic and understanding what the other person is feeling and being more attuned emotionally with the other person. Oftentimes there comes situations, and I'm sure a lot of people will identify with this, where you're in a group setting and you come up with something and the other person says, I was just thinking of that, or they might say, like, it's like you read my mind. And that's because you're becoming in alignment with the rest of the group, or with that person in that sense. As for the utility of these siddhis, or as for, what is possible, I think if we were to look into the ancient texts, there is no limit to what is possible. It's just a matter of how open you are to receive, let's say, for lack of a better word, the grace of these siddhis. The ability to look into past lives. What's the utility of that? I mean, other than, of course, subjectively for yourself, proving that there are past lives in your, subjective experience. It's to really understand how karma works. When you understand that life is nothing but a series of different kinds of choices, and how we choose to take those choices in terms of our intentional actions causes further choices to arise, then we can stop that process, so that we are not beholden to those past causes and conditions, but that we learn from them and now are beyond the scope of karma. And that's also part of unconditional living, being beyond the scope of just the causes and conditions that come to be. And then that again means that being able to live in a way where you act appropriately for the situation. Because not every action is universal to every situation. Some acts will be dependent upon the cause and condition of that situation, and some act will be there because of other situations or causes and conditions for those situations. We talk about siddhis like levitation, or, walking on water, and, being able to do some kind of astral traveling. Now, if you can do that, I think the benefit of levitation is you definitely save a ton on airfare, right?
You also, your legs would be more rested from walking up the stairs. Who doesn't want that?
There you go. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't discount the possibilities of these things. I myself haven't seen it. I myself haven't experienced anything like that in terms of the more outlandish things. But that's not to say that it's not possible. That's not to say that somebody hasn't done it in the past, or might still be doing it somewhere in the mountains.